Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and today I'm doing something I've never done before. And funny, I seem to do that a lot lately, but you never know. Why not take you on the journey? Okay, you can see I've got a big green cutting mat, and you can probably see on screen I've got some metal rulers with me, I've got some scissors, a blade, big scissors, a pencil, because I'm going to do something called Frankenstenciling. Now, this is something I first saw done by Patricia at PM Artist Studio. Really quick screenshot. This is PM Artist Studio. They do lives 3 times a week. That's Central Time America. This is where you can find them. The makers of stencils and masks. These are extra things you can sign up for that get you bigger and bigger discounts on their products. So I'm using the surplus that comes with some of your masks and stencils. So if you order a stencil or a mask from PM Artist Studio, in the comments box, if you say, could I please have the bits or the extra pieces, sometimes if they can give them to you, they will send them. So this is the surplus from, I think it's Cogs. This is the surplus from, I think that's Wonky Net. Let's see, I think that's from something Trudy. I think that's from Pinwheels. So you get the idea. Oh, this one I believe is from the Seahorses. I'd say that's probably Daisies. That's definitely Daisies, and this is Sea of Crescents. So as you can see, you end up with one holding the tissue. You end up with lots of different pieces as extra surplus, and I like that. And then what Patricia has done on the website is she will cut these up and make them into new masks and new stencils that are uniquely hers. And I thought, let's give that a go. Now, I'm just not sure what this is going to turn into, or whether it's going to be a boring video. I hope not. Patricia uses masking tape. I'm using micropore, which is a medical tape I've got here, only because I've got a lot of it, and it's really thin. I know it's quite strong, so I'm going to give it a go and see if that works for me. And I'm going to try and do something the size of an A4 sheet. So this is my A4 sheet. So I'm going to build something interesting, and let's see where that goes, really. So I don't know. Right, first of all, I quite like this bit down the middle. So I'm going to come in. Now, I could use my, what am I saying? I could use my scissors, but I'm quite happy using a knife for a lot of things. Not really sure where I'm going with a lot of this. As I said, this is all make it up as you go along, really. So I'm going to take that end off. Let's move the paper out of the way for a second. I'm trying to kind of follow natural joins in things to make interesting shapes. So the idea is basically you take the pieces that you like, you create something new, and then from that something new, you stick it all together, and then you have something new. Funny that, isn't it? Right, I'm going to immediately turn these into strips. Or do I want to turn them into strips? I just thought I might have a corner. Right, there's a good strip. Let's cut off anything that is literally surplus. Will, like that little piece, I'm not going to use that, so I'll put that one outside. It's probably going to go in the trash later. Right, I am going to save a corner. There's another bit. Now, of course, I can cut these down narrower. I could cut them into interesting shapes along the edges, which I might do. There's a nice corner. I don't think I want 2 corners, so we'll just... Oh. And that's a piece on the floor. So let's just narrow these down so that... There you go, they're more of a usable size. Let's take those bits to pieces. So I've got things. Now, I could work my way around and I could stick these all down, but I just want to make sure that I'm almost building up like a recipe pool of ingredients. So I know I've got more of these. I've got the Trudy bits, which I'm not sure I'm going to use those just yet. Let's put those up at the top there. Pinwheels. There's interesting shapes, but I'm looking for something smaller, I think. Now this gives me some interesting edges as well, so I'm just going to cut some of these pieces out just in case I choose to use them. I've never seen P do this, so I'm not actually sure what her process is, but I find it interesting. Now I'm going to cut just a few things off, as I said, just because that gives me almost ingredients to make something. So any spare bits that are good and interesting will get going up there. Now, I'm not overly keen on having the shapes of the seahorse, because that will just look like the seahorse. So I'm going to take out sections. Like that is no longer a seahorse, that's just a something. I might repeat that over here because this is quite an interesting bit. I think that's another reason I like a craft knife too, is because I can cut curves with it. Let's just, oops, missed that. So that's another interesting piece. And PM Artist Studio has absolutely no problem with you doing this with their pieces of stencils and masks. Their opinion is, you've paid for it, it's yours, do as you will. That's a really interesting piece. I wonder if I get another one of those pieces out of here somewhere. Sorry, having some thinking time here, guys. All right, that's another interesting piece. Right, so I think potentially we're making a mask. A mask is something you put over to mask the area underneath, so that when you print or put paint on, you're not covering that or lifting that piece off. Okay, let's have a look on this one. I quite like these bits here. Now, all of their masks and stencils are made out of, I believe it's 74-pound Yupo, which is 100% poly something. I can never say what it is. Polypropylene, polyethylene. It's poly something. Poly want a cracker. I don't know. I always get mixed up with those poly words. Right, and I've got some here, but I don't think I'm going to use those. So let's just pull all of those back. Excuse my arm and my reach. So let's see what we've got. Let's put the blade by, because I will cut myself. I am notorious for that. Let's put these pieces down and actually see what we've got going on. I'm really liking this. I'm not liking that bit though, so I think I'm just going to come in with the little scissors. This is just a little pair of Tim Holtz scissors, just because I know they're really sharp and they do a really good job. Let's take that bit off and that bit off. Right, I'm really loving that bit. Really, really loving that bit. Right, I had another piece of that. Let's take... Am I in shot? Hopefully I'm in shot. Let's take that bit out of there. Okay, so... I don't know. I'm feeling there's... I don't want to say a story, because there isn't a story, but I'm feeling there's stuff that could be joined here. Now the joy of this is that once this is done, it'll be something that's completely unique to me. Right, if I curve that a little bit more, as in making that a tighter curve, it might actually fit onto there. Oh, that was as good a guess as I could ever have got that. That's exactly that size. Right, I'm going to take a bit of micropore. Take that stuck to my fingers. Right. As I said, I'm not really sure on P's process for doing this, so I'm just going with my gut feeling. I do know from hearing P talk that when she's created these, she finds that after they've got their first... Let's put that little spare piece up there. That after she's put her first spare piece of sorry, as she's put her first coating of paint on, they do become a lot more resistant to coming apart, which is good to hear. Let's flip that over. Is it going to lay down? No, it probably isn't going to lay down. Let me just see if I can just take it off with a blade without cutting through everything else. There you go. Right, I'm just going to flip this one over. Now there's going to become a point when I won't be able to flip them back and forth. They'll be too large, and then what I'll do is I will do all of one side and come back to the other. So that already to me is an interesting something. Now if I could join somehow these pieces onto it, I'm already finding that if I put a flat piece in there, it's easier to join. Like if I come in here, no, it needs to be more. Right, it needs to be more that way. I can see how this is addictive, but I also see how it's going to be very time consuming. So I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, guys, for obvious reasons. Right, I don't particularly want them, that would work perfectly in there. I don't really want them overlapping, so if I come from here, try not to cut straight lines. I'm trying to cut more sort of organic shapes. That works for me. Right, let me get some of the tape down on that one. I'm hoping, and I do say hope because I cannot guarantee this, I'm hoping that once this is all stuck together, now I'm going to put a bit of tape over that. I don't mind losing that little bit of interest. I'd rather sacrifice that and keep the strength of the join. Pull that over. Now there is another disadvantage to using tape, and that means that when you actually, what's the word I'm looking for? When you actually print on them, you'll have an imprint of the tape as well. But I think eventually that imprint will go away as time buries that join in the paintwork. It's stuck to my finger now. Get off. It's stuck to my thumb now. Right. Okay. Okay. Well, if it's as sticky on my fingers, hopefully that's as sticky as it's going to be on the finished mask. Okay, I'm liking that. That's creating something interesting. I'd like to say at the end of this video we'll give this a go, but it depends on how long it takes me to create this. Right. I want to maybe go away from just this style. So you're probably going to have big expanses of me not saying anything because I'm thinking. I don't do that very often, so bear with me with that one. Right, it's a slight curve on that. It's funny because I know that when P has done these, very often they'll become a new product because she's very gifted at turning them into interesting pieces. Take that bit out of there. Right, where it's gone over the edges there, I will go in afterwards with a craft knife and just tidy that up because that's the only way I can think to do it. Right, I need another strip of micropore. if you're watching this, P and Mariah, look what you've started. Right, so let's stick those together. Let's pull this out of the way. I just want to go in, will I remember, and get rid of that little bit of tape. Just so that I haven't got that on the final thing and then I end up forgetting it, which I could very easily forget it. Come on, out you go. There you go. Right. I've got that on both sides. Now, I suppose if you wished to do something like this and you hadn't got PM Artist Studio stuff, I liked that there, but I think I want to change it slightly. I suppose you could always do this with the excess from die cuts. If you were doing die cuts out of cardboard, it means you probably end up with maybe a one-use mask or stencil, which means that it would be a lot of effort for a very small piece, but you never know, it might last a few goes. So right, I've got that on there. I want that to be shorter now, I think. And I think if I come across there, that'll give me a good joining piece. Lots of thinking time. Right, let's have a look at what else I pulled out. Right, I quite liked that. And it doesn't have to fill this page, obviously. It doesn't actually have to be that shape around the edge. So let's just come in and see whether I can make that a more organic shape. That's a bit better. So I'll just okay, that's a more organic shape. I'm a little bit close there and there, but you know what? It's a mask. That'll be fine. So that will give me something interesting. Do I want to join those up? No, I don't think I do. I could join those up though. No, that's not the right piece. Don't ask me why I know it's not the right piece. It's just not the right piece. Right, this needs a little bit of a moment. It is very easily cut with a scissors and a knife, this Yupo, which is lovely. Right. I think I want to attach that there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide that under there. And I'm going to get a pencil and just draw a line around there, because I will never remember that angle if I'm trying to cut it just freehand. Right, so that was attached to there. Right. I can definitely see why this would be addictive. Definitely see why this would be addictive. I don't actually know why I chose to use micropore instead of washi tape, because I've got plenty of both. I think it's probably because I was thinking micropore might be a little more sticky, possibly. Let's flip that over and see if I can put another piece on the other side. A little bit wide for what I want. I've got a little bit there that I just want to tidy up with the knife. I'm tidying up as I go along because I know at the end of this process, in my eagerness to use this, I'm likely to overlook the bits that needed tidying up, but by doing them now, I know I will have done them all the way along the line and they'll be good. Right, so that's an interesting something. I don't really want to go beyond the boundaries of... Actually, let's just do that a second. I don't want to go beyond the boundaries of this black paper because... I don't know, just because. Possibly because it's kind of the biggest dimension. I cut that off for a reason, didn't I? Why did I cut that off for a reason? Maybe it went on that way. Let's do that thing again where I've slid it underneath. Right, fingers crossed that I remember where that piece goes. I really like the Tim Holtz scissors because they're serrated, and I know not everyone loves the serrations in them, but I do. It always helps me grip onto stuff. Right, so that and that go together. I think that bit works. Okay, if you're about to do this at home, I would suggest cut yourself a load of strips of tape before you start. It would certainly speed up your process, as I wish I'd have sped mine up by doing all of my cutting of tape beforehand, because I wouldn't have to have spent this time doing this bit then. But now I did do a couple of little experiments. I thought, would I be able to glue things together with glue? And I wasn't able to find a glue that worked perfectly for this. I mean, I tried art glitter glue, it just peeled apart. I tried, what's the other one? Fabri-Tac, that didn't work either. It just peeled straight off again afterwards. So I did give it a couple of goes with glues. I'm not one that normally uses super glues, so I know that I didn't try any super glue. However, I would imagine that because this is a plastic, or a poly something anyway, there's a good chance that super glue will probably melt it. Let's put that little bit to one side. There's my knife again. And trim that little bit off there. Well, trimming on the paper doesn't really help, Griffiths. Am I in shot? I am in shot, okay. And then there's just a little bit by here. Right. Okay, right. It's a growing. It is definitely growing. Right, I'd like a more interesting edge than that. But I'm not sure how I managed to add a more interesting edge than that. I'm not loving that bit at the moment. I don't mind that bit, it's this bit I'm not overly keen on. Wonder whether I can... I think I'm going to take this bit off. That feels more organic to me. It's almost like a fern unrolling. So right, I've got a piece here that I actually had planned to fit something to, but never got round to it. That would work for me. Let me just find an area where I can make that work. P is probably laughing at me at the moment going, I never went to all that drawing and penciling, and P probably just stuck it all together and it was perfect. Well, P, I can't do that. I think I need to just trim that little bit off there. Right, I think that'll work. I think this little bit here needs to come off, this one last little bit of a cog. There you go, that doesn't interfere with that anymore now. Right, a little bit more of the tape. Hopefully this isn't boring, guys. I just thought it's something I was going to do, and I thought let's turn the camera on and see whether it works for me. I know it works because I've seen the results of it working for other people. Let's see if I could do it. And I thought it'd just be interesting to see whether I could actually manage to use it after I've created it. Right, I've got a little tiny bit in there that just needs cutting away. Right, so here we are so far. Now I'm really liking this end, that's fine. I now don't know whether I like that at all, but the joy is I can always take bits off. In fact, I'm going to take that bit off. It's... oh, stuff really does stick, doesn't it? I don't know whether that was the right decision or it was the right decision at the time, but it no longer works for me. And off you go. I can always put that by to use it another time. So, right, back to this bit now. See, I quite like that edge there. This bit I'm not keen on, so that probably needs a something in there. I need to somehow make that more interesting. Now I could join two bits together. Let's just have a go at that. Let's just take one long snipple on there. Right. Let's ignore the main body of it at the moment and see whether I can do something with this bit. I'm not worried about that little bit there yet because I don't know what I'm cutting or where. Right, so that's given me something a little more interesting. Right, let's get creative with some cutting here. So I've got a curved bit here, so if I continue that curve around, I could come into there. Interesting piece for later. This bit coming around here could continue around to that piece there. Okay, right. So that's given me a nice double-sided piece. I want to do something about that bit there. I know you guys normally like my thought process, but I can't actually tell you what I'm thinking because I'm not sure that I know what I'm thinking. So I'll just take some of these pieces off. So that would fit in there. Okay, right, that's another interesting bit. That's a bit more micropore. Now, I think I've already said that these pieces of micropore are likely to show up when you print. It will add interest, but over time, I believe that the micropore will be such that it will disappear because it'll get buried in layers of paint. Cut that a little bit up by there. Right, so I'm okay with that. I just need to work that out, but I'm not sure what I want to do with it at the moment. Totally experimental time. Right, now I've got this piece already here. I think I'll just have a little bit of a, I'm not sure how I can, I could be doing a bad job of this. I'm not 100% certain. I think that bit needs to come out of there. I think that'll work, and then we'll sort out what the end of this looks like. And then I might have actually, I don't want to say finish, but I might be at a point where I think it's usable. It's funny because this would be so much easier electronically. But you know what? Not everyone's got those capabilities or the software or the know-how or the patience to do it. So let's do it this way. A few places, oh, that's got a bit of a double layer of something on it. This needs a bit on the back of that. I didn't see, I hadn't actually stuck that bit down. You were probably all screaming at me about that, weren't you? And this hasn't got a piece along the back either, but I think I might have left that on purpose because I wasn't sure what shape it was going to be. But probably better safe than sorry. Let's add a piece. Right. So let's see if I can clear the decks a bit and see where we're at with this. Okay, it's an interesting something. I think I can see what I can do up here. Interesting. I'm really liking these pieces. I'm not sure about this anymore. And I do reserve the right to change my mind, so. This is harder than I thought it was going to be, I must admit. I thought I'll just stick a few things together. I'll take that piece off of there. I don't like that now. Good grief, this micropore really does stick. Really does stick. Which bears confidence that it's not going to come apart when I've done it. Or I use it, which I'm quite pleased about. Right, now stick down, I haven't reached under there. Okay. That might work. It's like creating a jigsaw and cutting a jigsaw and gluing a jigsaw together all at the same time. If that makes sense to anyone but me. So I really do not know how interesting this is going to be to watch, guys. I might post it anyway, just so you can all see it. And if you choose to watch it, you choose to watch it. But I don't know. Just a bit there that needs to be dealt with. Well, I think as a mask, that's not bad. This sort of kind of bothers me here. And I think it's this one particular piece here that annoys me. Did I have another bit of this somewhere? I've got lots of bits everywhere now. I've got an idea. Let me just snip a piece out of this. It could be very fragile, But I wonder whether I could put one of those on there. Possibly. Let's just see if I can marry something up underneath it. Just something along the lines of that. Because that would finish it off quite nicely, and it would give it quite a a fantasy type look, or fantastical sort of look. If I stick that in place, actually I'm wondering, just try and trim that end down a bit. I think that would work, and I think then we'll call that done. As I said, I just wanted to make a little mask, and I wanted to see how it all worked, and this then gives me still enough time to put some paint down and try this one out. I've got tape and stuff stuck everywhere. Flip this over and do the other side. This looks really, really fragile here. I'm going to have to be very, very careful when I use this for the first few times. Right, so I think that's an interesting something. So, right, I'm going to pause you for two seconds. I'm going to clear the decks down totally. I'm going to bring out my gel plate and we'll have a bit of a play and see what I can do with this. Okay guys, so here I'm back again. I pulled out my 12 by 12 plate and I pulled out my 5 by 7 to use as a palette. Our piece is all ready to go and I will be using, for some reason it keeps reminding me of two dragons fighting. Don't ask me why, it just is the way it is. And I pulled in a couple of masks. I've got a Wonky's Net mask from PM Artist Studio. I've also got Tangled Trudy, which is another one I like, just so we've got some interest in the background. And I pulled in a bit of stock so I can actually print onto something. There's a bit of a green haze on this one already because I was using this for another thing this morning. So I think we're going to come straight in and let's get rid of the whiteness of our cardstock. So I'm just going to put, this is Buttermilk by Deco Art Americana. Where has it gone? I'm looking for burnt umber. There you are, guys. Burnt umber. I like the combination of burnt umber and the buttermilk. It gives a really nice effect. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of effort into mixing this together just so that we have something on the plate so it looks like an interesting background before I've even started. I'm not doing a thick layer of paint. I'm not worried that it's perfectly coated. That's not my aim in life whatsoever. My aim is to basically just get a nice printable background for us to work on. So let's put that down. I'm using a big brayer just to smooth the stuff out in the background. I do have paper over there for rolling my brayer off on, just to keep my brayer clean. Let's lift this one up. There you go, immediately that's given me a really nice looking something. I've got some white around the edges. That will get eliminated as time goes by. So let's put that to one side. Right, let's see if I've got one that says terracotta. I do have one that calls terracotta. There you go. I'm thinking about doing just a really thin coat of terracotta. And just doing a technique that I call kissing, which means I'm just gently going to touch the plate down, the paper down onto the plate, just to get a bit of interest off the plate. Now, I also know that I've got stuff on my brayer. I'm not cleaning the brayer off because I might want to use it in a second for another thing. So just going, and that's exactly what I'm doing, is I'm just kissing the plate just to capture bits. Oops, I inadvertently kissed that bit, didn't I? Okay, so now I've got stuff on there. I don't mind that. So if I get rid of that white bit on the edge there. So that's just got that to another interesting place. I'm going to come in with my brayer again now and just give that a good brayering over. And then I'm going to come in with the wonky net. And what I'm doing is I'm lifting off the paint in the background by just laying this down, or lying this down, and letting the mask itself just pick up paint. It's very subtle, but it's a really nice, clever trick to give yourself a little bit of, don't know if you can actually see that, but I'm sure you can see bits of it. And then I'm going to come back in and do that kissing technique again, just to take some of that away. You see, it'll just give me layers of interest in places. Oh, a bit of green on there. Where did that come from? Let's cover you up with something. There you go. So that again gives me just a little bit of extra something in there. There's touches of green or teal in it, and I don't mind that. I quite like teal. Oh, there you go. This is turquoise or turquoise. I don't know how you word it, where you come from. I'll put some up there, and I think I'm going to put a little bit of white. I'm nearly out of this tube. I do have other tubes of this, so I'm not hugely worried. Right, I'm actually going to use my big brayer for once, because that way I can ombre this without contaminating it too much. My intent isn't to pull an entire print here. My intent is just to give myself something for the next stage of working, which is using this. So I'm going to come in and I want to do this flip-flop technique again, just to give myself something on the background, so that when I do the kissing technique again, it's all going to be patterned in a lovely sort of way. Loving this, and I'm just popping that on there. Okay, right. So I'm going to come in again now. This one again, just touching it down and let the weight of the paper do the work for you. I don't need to do a huge amount of work. Let's just take that bit off there so it's not so harsh. Right, okay, liking that so far. So I'm thinking I'd like to add a magenta to this. Now I've got a couple of magentas. What are they all called? Oh, that's not magenta, that's purple. So there's a magenta. That's a process, that's a pigment, a permanent. Does it tell me what they are? That's a transparent. This doesn't feel right. Bear with me, I'm just rooting my way through all of this lot. I thought I had a really good violet here, a really good purple here, and I just can't find it. I'm terrible. All my stuff is just, there you go, there's a good purple. So I think I'm going to do this process a couple of times, but I just want to make sure that it's not all the same colour over and over. So let's get that untangled. Right, let's move Tangled Trudy out the way. Right, this time I'm going to put my paint on my palette first of all, because my intent is to lay down colour and then use tissue paper to lift off the excess that's on the around the mask that I've just created. So I've got a layer of paint down there, which is fine. I'm going to lay my new mask on top of it. And I'm going to take a strip of tissue paper. I can find a strip of tissue paper. There I can. And I'm going to push down reasonably firmly, because there's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. And if I haven't said it before, there's a lot of intricate detail on this. So I want to give this a really good press down because I'm hoping to lift off everything that is on this plate except what's under there, and there's a bit more there, so let's take a piece of another bit of tissue paper. I use these tissue papers for my collage work, by the way, so if you're wondering where it's come from, that will be it. So let's lift this off and see what I've got. Okay, it's almost there. I do feel I want to go in and maybe see if I can lift off a bit more from these sort of areas. I'd like this to be quite a clean image that I put on. Now the trick is, am I going to be able to lift the mask off without it all falling to bits? Let's keep our fingers crossed for that one. Right, I'm going to have to be reasonably quick because it's a heavily pigmented colour. It's going to dry quite quickly, so bear with me if I don't talk too much. I need to get this done. So there you go, it's given me some interest on there. Right, I want to do that again with the same colour because I've got it. I don't think I've got enough paint on this. Actually, let's change to magenta because I was going to go to magenta as well. Now, blue and purple and magenta are usually of the same colour base. They've got warm tones to them. Well, I suppose that's a lie, really. It could be that you've got a cool base for a magenta, or you've got a warm base for a magenta. So let's just err on the side of caution. I think this has got a pinkish base to it anyway. So let's put that on there again. Now I'm using this to mask out the colour beneath it. Okay? What I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to put a colour on here and then lay this across and then pull it with it. It'll be a transparent. And what that will do then is it will lift off and leave this shape behind. I think that was pretty well saturated with colour. I think I should really have pulled out one of my smaller plates, maybe my 8x10 or my 9x12, but I was filming earlier today and I thought, you know what, let's just use the same plate. It's not going to be a problem, and I don't think it is. Right, let's give this some thought. I think I want to go that way so it'll go up and down. I don't want it up and down, I want... Right, so I need to flip it bookwise onto this. Right. A little bit geographically challenged there for a second. I'm going to come in there. Now, I'm finding, which I think is quite interesting, that the areas that are not picking the paint up and not leaving the paint behind are actually the micropore, because the micropore is actually obviously absorbent. So it's leaving tape marks here and here. I don't mind that. That's just the way it is. Right. Oh no, I think I ran out of iron oxide. I've got burnt orange. I've never used burnt orange. Well, not colour burnt orange is. And anyone says it's orange, there's going to be a problem. Okay, let's see what burnt orange does then. Not used this colour before. It's going to be interesting. So I'm just going to... Oh, that's a very vibrant colour, isn't it? Okay, I don't mind. I'm all up for vibrant colours. Right. Pop that down on there. You can go into that corner. And let's put this on in this direction. Okay guys, the magic is either going to happen or it's not going to happen. It's down now. I do quite like my new mask. Interesting shape. For some reason it reminds me of a dragon. And there are no wings entailed in this, so I don't know why, but it just reminds me of a dragon. Let's turn my brayer up the right way so I don't get it sticking to anything. So, fingers crossed, let's see what we've got under here. I may be repeating this with another layer in a second, or I may just go, that's enough. Okay, I'm liking that. This is the one that we've just done. So as you can see, because the mask was down there, it left the colours underneath. I think for me that's getting a bit dark. And I think at the burnt orange, I didn't, because I've never used it before, I didn't realise how dark that was going to get. So I think I want to come in and I want to warm this back up again. Or lighten it back up again. Right, let's get transparent yellow. And a bit of that buttermilk. So I know that's transparent and this is opaque. So, and I'm only planning a thin coating. Well, my intent is for only a thin coating anyway. And I'm just going to do that kissing thing again, just to get pieces off here. Just to give this a little bit more of a something or other. See, just to make it a little bit more interesting. And then we're going to have to go for some drama. Right, we're going to bring black into play here, guys. Where's black? Okay, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to roll out some black. I'm going to lay my piece down on it. I'm going to roll over the top of it again. Take some tissue. What I'm aiming to try and do, guys, is leave myself a sort of darker outline, so that I'm not leaving a whole block of black down, although that actually wouldn't bother me anyway, but just trying to leave behind an outline. I don't mind leaving a little bit of a grunge on here as well. That's not going to worry me in the slightest. Right, it's black. Black dries quickly, so I'm going to just flip this over onto that. Actually, that's not what I wanted to do. That isn't the effect. I thought my brain wasn't doing it the right way around. Let me just take that off there. It's lovely, but as you can see, I would have had the tape pieces in it. And I don't want the tape pieces in it. But to be honest with you, I'm quite happy I've done that, because that's left some really interesting stuff on the plate. Right, I did it backwards, and that's not a surprise for me. So I'm going to put this down. And what I need to do is I need to put the black over the top of it, not underneath it. So I'm going to load that onto my palette over here. See, learning curve every day, guys. Learning curve every day. Right. I'm going to carefully go down into that. Now, the only trouble I see with doing this is, how do I clean off the edges? But I'm looking for a line, I'm not looking for the whole thing. So I reckon now, if I come in with tissue now and lift that off, then it will leave me just the outline of my mask. I get a little spatially unaware sometimes, guy. I'm doing this with my fingers just to get down into all the little nooks and crannies that are in there, just so I can lift out. It should leave behind a really faint line of the mask. Now again, I don't mind the grunge being on there. I don't want it everywhere, however. Right, that's a very, very black piece of tissue paper. Right, now let's see if I've got what I was expecting. Which I did. I got that outline. Right, what I want to do is I want to wait a few minutes just for that to be dry enough for me to add a layer over the top that I can pick it up with. So, bear with me. I'm going to hit pause on you just to give this 5 minutes to dry, and I'll clean the decks up while I'm here, and then we'll do one final pull and then we'll be done. So see you in 2 seconds, guys. So here I'm back again. This is dry now. I've lifted the upside down and tried to work out which orientation I want this in. So it's going to be interesting trying to work it out. Spatially awareness, trying to back this in my brain is not working for me today. So I've picked out two colours. This is transparent, this is semi-transparent. These are the colours I'm going to use only because it should enhance what's here. But remembering what I did earlier, this is really powerful. So I'm going to make sure that I only put a little bit of that on there. And I'm going to put a little bit of this on there. And just for good measure, I'm just going to put a dash of copper in there as well. So what I want is a really thin coating. I don't want a huge coat. I just want a thin coating to grab the paint that's on this plate, and then that paint will lift off all of this gunk, all of this debris that's left on here. So I'm working reasonably quickly and with a reasonably thin coat, and then on this goes without messing around in any way, shape or form. And I'll give it a really firm press down, and what that will do is it will put the paint on the plate in contact with the dry paint underneath it, and hopefully they will both bond to the paint on the paper. So I now have some nice stuff on here as well, so let's just bring in something else. Actually, that's quite nice. I got this as a sheet that I must have prepared at some point for something, so let's just do that kissing technique again and just take all of this off and add it to this as best I can, just as a bit of a clean up of the thing. I don't want to waste paint, as I've said. So there you go, that just adds another layer of interest to that one. So quick review of what we've done, and then I'll need to have a good old clean up when I turn this camera off. So I've done what's called Frankenstenciling, which is I've taken pieces of the surplus from around other stencils and masks, and I'll stuck them together. For me personally, I use micropore, and I think it was a mistake. I didn't realise a micropore would be that porous. What's porous? Porous, and have soaked the paint in, and instead of it getting masked, it's actually making it thicker. So after we finish filming, I will, when this is totally dry, I'm going to do my darndest to try and pick these pieces off again, and then put washi tape on, which is what P did, and maybe that's the reason P chose that in the first place. But to be honest, I quite like this. It's an interesting shape. It would make a nice corner to something. As I said, for some reason, if you look at that, to me that's almost a dragon. All it needs is a wing, and this one is a bit like an eccentric reindeer. I don't know, just me and my funny ways. So I'm going to try and rescue that because I put a lot of work into it and I really like it, but micropore, not the choice. because it's too porous and it'll just keep getting thicker and thicker and thicker. So I'm going to let that totally dry. Then maybe with a scalpel I can just pull it off and put on, even if I will put washi tape on it, because that's P has proved that that works. Let's put that to one side. This is PM Artist Studio. That's Patricia, that's Mariah. This is where you find them. Please go and watch their lives. They're very entertaining and funny and educational. If you sign up for the different levels of support, you'll get more and more discounts off your stencils. Look, this one, you'll get 20% off every order. So, I mean, it's worth it if you're somebody using stencils and the such. And because they like me, and they like you, if you use this code at checkout, this will give you an extra 10% off till the end of the year, and the year is 2022, okay? I do not know whether you can use more than one code on one order. I should imagine not. So don't think you can have the 20% from the lovely and add another 10% to it. I believe there's only one code box, so just choose the code that gets you the most, but this will certainly help with P&P if you're international. So, thank you for joining me on this one. It's been entertaining and interesting and educational. So I think it's time we pulled this to see what actually I got off this plate. Okay, I like that. Let's tip it up a bit to the light so you can see it more. I think I would like to add a bit more metallic to that, to be honest with you. Shall I do it now with you here? I mean, you've been really patient so far. Let's see. Maybe if I just do something really simple. I've got some bubble wrap here. I'm a big fan of using bubble wrap. Let's just get some gold. I've just got this colour gold, just to add a bit more oomph to this. Just so it catches the light a little bit. This, I believe, is a transparent. It is a transparent. So I'll stop doing that. I keep putting my brayer on my paper the wrong way up, and of course what's it do? It sticks to the paper. So I'm just going to come in and add a few splotches of gold onto this one. It'll just add to the richness of the whole print. And I think that's it. There you go. I think that looks lovely. That's a success in my book. That's probably going to be, oh, it's a bit there. I just want to tickle that little bit there. This may be the cover to my next planner, to be honest with you. I love that. So from me, it's kind of goodbye. So I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time. Bye-bye now.